Welcome. I'm Doug Morgan, and you're listening to Uncommon Sense, where we hunt for the truth in the topics you're not supposed to talk about, Christianity and politics. And once again, it's Friday, so we have for you FOMO Friday. We know that you're not listening to propaganda media, so you want to know what's going on around the world, and we bring you those stories, and so that way you don't experience that fear of missing out. Well, from the Daily Wire comes these stories. We have, right off the top of the bat, some really good news out of the White House. As parents across the country push back against schools undermining their children's faith, President Donald Trump will speak at a Museum of the Bible on Monday during a hearing on religious liberty in education, is what the Daily Wire is reporting. Now, Trump will give remarks during the second meeting of the Religious Liberty Commission he established earlier this year to protect the rights of Americans and practice their faith. We reported that here on the podcast. Now, at the hearing, parents and students will discuss their experience of expressing their faith in the public schools. The Trump administration has placed a large emphasis on protecting religious liberties, from issuing new guidance that allows federal workers to be more open about their beliefs, to pardoning pro-life Christians targeted by the Biden administration over peaceful demonstrations at abortion facilities. Quote, the previous administration abused the federal government's power to interfere with Americans' First Amendment right to religious freedom. This is what the White House spokeswoman Taylor Rogers said. She said they even used the Department of Justice to target peaceful people of faith, specifically Christians. This is exactly why President Trump established the Religious Liberty Commission, to stop the emerging threats against Americans' inalienable right to practice their religion freely. Now, Attorney General Pam Bondi and Religious Liberty Commission Chair Dan Patrick will also speak at the hearing. And the first panel to be heard at the event will be a group of elementary school students who will share stories of challenges to their religious liberty, as according to the White House. Other panels will feature parents whose rights to raise their kids religiously were challenged or abridged in the school system. The students who faced challenges to their faith in higher education as well. Now, the goal of the hearing will be to understand the historic landscape of religious liberty in the public education setting, identify parent threats to religious liberty in America's public school systems, and identify opportunities to secure religious liberty in this context for the future. And that's what the White House said. Now, in May, Trump signed an executive order creating the commission with the task of producing a comprehensive report on the foundations of religious liberty and to stop these threats to Americans today. This is a nice first step with that commission being formed into delving into the religious liberties that we have in the school system and how they're being abridged, and maybe what that they can do about that. Now, on Tuesday, Trump said that he would be making a big announcement in about 2 weeks related to administration's goals to protect religious liberty. And the administration is also looking to protect churches following an attack on Catholic school last week in Minneapolis by a transgender identifying shooter who had documented that he hated Christians. Of course, in recent years, the Supreme Court has handed advocates of religious liberty a number of major victories in education, including siding with the high school football coach who was disciplined for leading voluntary prayer after games. More recently, the court sided with a group of Maryland parents who argued that schools violated their religious beliefs by forcing them to participate in sexually themed education. So good things happening there. We'll keep our thumb on this and see how it goes. unfortunately, we do have some well, maybe bad news. I don't know. It's news that maybe we can get on top of here. The U.S. Food and Drug Administration Commissioner, Dr. Marty McCary, said his agency is working to get ahead of what could be a fourth wave of the deadly opioid crisis by triggering a substance derived from the kratom plant that is being sold to young people in gas stations and vape shops all across the nation. So, I mean, right now you can go down to your local gas station and probably pick some of this up. Now, the concentrated compound is, and I'm not, I mean, I am not medical guy. I don't pronounce these things. It's a big long word starting with H and has a 7 in front of it. But it's known as 7-OH for those of us that don't speak medical, and it's up to 13 times more potent than morphine. This according to McCary. Now, the deceptive marketing and easy access are just helping fuel its spread, luring in an increasingly larger number of young Americans. Quote, "We can't get caught flat-footed again," McCary recently warned. "We got burned with fentanyl. We got burned with prescription drugs. We cannot get behind the 8 ball again. This may be the fourth wave of the opioid epidemic. Concentrated synthetic 7-OH may be the fourth wave of that epidemic." He also said that 7-OH people need to know is an opioid. And he said you can walk down the street in almost any neighborhood in America and buy an opioid. The kratom plant is a native to Southeast Asia, and in its natural state, some people find it to have healthy and helpful medicinal qualities. The FDA has made clear that it's not focusing on the natural kratom leaf. They're targeting concentrated and synthetic forms of the plant, or 7-OH. Now, at the end of July, the FDA recommended that 7-OH be classified as a Schedule 1 controlled substance, making it illegal to sell or process. And the agency says it's an opioid that comes with significant health risks, including addiction and overdose. Some people may not have even heard of kratom plant before, but they've likely seen kratom-derived 7-OH products in gas stations, corner stores, vape shops, even online. Kratom overall is a billion-dollar industry in the U.S. already, and it's growing fast. In just a few years, the industry is expected to almost double in size of where it is now. 7-OH is sold in a variety of forms, including powders, vapes, drinks, pills, and products that appeal to children, such as fruit-flavored gummies and even ice cream cones, believe it or not. These products are often accelerated labeled, considering the 7-OH content, and can be disguised or marketed as merely the kratom plant. There's also no federal age restriction on these products, though several states now prohibit the sale of such products to minors. As far as widespread harm, especially to young Americans, the data is mixed, or perhaps underreported and too early to tell. But the CDC says that there have been some overdose deaths associated with the product, but often other substances were also involved. And there was also a recent report from the Tampa Bay Times that links kratom products to hundreds of deaths just in the state of Florida over the past decade. Additionally, more and more anecdotal accounts of 7-OH related addictions and deaths fill the web, though they remain unverified. A toxicologist and emergency physician from Albany Medical Center, Dr. Alicia Tudor, believes kratom-related harms are being underreported, specifically regarding overdoses. Quote, "I'll see it in the emergency department and then probably more often in the addiction clinic than that I work at as well, she told WRGB. Toxicology tests are not always given when patients come in for an overdose, she said. Then the results would come back, weeks later, and at that point, the patient's been, discharged and doing better. The New York mother, Carrie Scribner, wants action taken on these highly concentrated products. Her 27-year-old son, Nicholas, died last year from what appears to have been a kratom related death. She says that her son started using the products to manage anxiety, depression, and insomnia, believing it was merely an all-natural herbal energy and health supplement. In a similar tragedy, McCary related the contents of a letter from a grieving stepfather of a young man who had finally quit addiction, only to purchase 708 with 70H without being aware of its contents. Quote, he called me on May 31st to tell me he had stopped at the vape shop to buy a vape and was offered a free pill and was told that it was kratom. Mark McCary read the letter aloud, and he said that he took the pill and became addicted, and should have done his research. He should have done his research. He died the night that he took two 20 milligram 7OH pills. The wrapper was at his bedside, and there was no other drug or alcohol in the house. While kratom has been widely used in the U.S. for some time, concentrated 7OH has only risen in popularity within about the last 5 years. Ultimately, the FDA is moving to stop the substance from causing more widespread harm before it's too late. And it's not just the FDA that's taking action. Florida is leading the way on the state level. Earlier this month, the Florida AG announced an emergency rule to classify 7OH as a Schedule I controlled substance. GOP Governor Mike DeWine has also urged the Ohio Board of Pharmacy to designate synthetic and natural kratom compounds as illegal drugs. Additionally, the number of other states have moved to add age restrictions on 7OH or limitations on concentrations of the compound. The Drug Enforcement Administration, DEA, is currently reviewing the FDA's recommendation on efficiency and the banning of 7OH. So yeah, something we'll definitely want to keep our eye on. Something that's growing. I mean, I've seen signs around where I live for that, and we'll definitely keep that in mind. Well, and a good bit of good news here. The Federal Appeals Court issued a ruling on Thursday allowing an illegal alien detention center in Florida dubbed Alligator Alcatraz. You remember that one, right? Well, they closed it. There was a judge ruled to close it while there was a hearing on it. And now another federal appeals court has ruled that it can remain open for business while a lawsuit against that the state and the Trump administration makes its way through the court. An Obama-appointed federal district court judge issued a temporary restraining order last month, ordering Florida and the Trump administration to stop placing illegal aliens in the facility. The 11th Circuit Court of Appeals blocked that judge's order in a 2-1 decision on Thursday. Now, the judges ruled that a lawsuit brought by environmental groups and an American Indian tribe failed to state a viable claim that Florida and the Department of Homeland Security violated federal environmental laws. Quote, given that the federal government has an undisputed and wide-reaching interest in combating illegal immigration, and that illegal immigration is a matter of national security and public safety, we think the injunction issued below goes against the public interest. That's what the majority wrote in the court decision. Now, both the Department of Homeland Security and Florida Governor Ron DeSantis celebrated the ruling, of course, saying, quote, today's order is a win for the American people, the rule of law and common sense. That's what the Department of Homeland Security posted. Quote, this lawsuit was never about the environmental impacts of turning a developed airport into a detention facility. It has and will always be about open borders activists and judges trying to keep law enforcement from removing dangerous criminals, aliens from our communities. Full stop. And I couldn't agree more. They also said the mission continues on immigration enforcement. The media was giddy that somehow Alligator Alcatraz was shutting down. And we told them that wasn't true. This is what DeSantis said in a video message. He said there have been illegal aliens continuing to be there and being removed and returned to their home country. But they ran with the narrative because some leftist judge ruled implausibly that somehow Florida wasn't allowed to use its own property to help the federal government in this important mission. So Alligator Alcatraz is, in fact, like we've always said, open for business. The mission continues, and we're going to continue leading the way when it comes to immigration enforcement, is what DeSantis said. And the Trump administration has partnered with states across the country to open up similar detention centers as well, with names like Cornhusker Clink, that's of course in Nebraska, right? And the Speedway Slammer in Indiana. So yeah, they're coming up with some great names, and they're using them very, very well. Now, Trump and his administration in the DOJ, they are deliberating on something that kind of goes with what we've been talking about this last week on the podcast here. In the wake of the latest deadly attack on a school by a transgender identifying individual, President Donald Trump's Justice Department is considering blocking trans identifying people from buying firearms. Yeah, that's kind of interesting, right? Individuals with the DOJ are reviewing ways to ensure that mentally ill individuals suffering from gender dysphoria are unable to obtain firearms while they are unstable and unwell. That's what one source inside the Justice Department said. Now, the DOJ's discussions center on the fact that those who identify as transgender suffer from gender dysphoria, which is a mental disorder. And the DOJ source familiar with the conversations shared with the Daily Wire said that gender dysphoria, it basically describes this sense of unease that a man or a woman may feel if he or she thinks that their biological sex is mismatched with their so-called gender identity. A DOJ spokesman would not comment on specific measures being considered, but said that a range of options are on the table. Quote, under Attorney General Bondi's leadership, this Department of Justice is actively considering a range of options to prevent mentally unstable individuals from committing acts of violence, especially at schools, the spokesman said. Given the rise in transgender violence over the past decade, particularly aimed at school children, many on the right have argued that authorities should be taking a much closer look at the warning signs exhibited by transgender shooters. Last week's deadly shooting at the Annunciation Catholic Church in Minneapolis, in which the trans-identifying shooter, Robin Westman, killed two children and injured many more, has prompted calls from the right to investigate transgender domestic terrorism. And this week, the White House draft a national security strategy on domestic terrorism, and will specifically address transgender violence. So that's good, right? In Westman's actions, they came only 2 years after another trans-identifying killer, this one a woman who identified as man, targeted a Christian school and the children in Nashville. And 1 week later, leaders of a Catholic and independent schools in Minnesota had called on Governor Tim Walz to help prevent similar shootings. And of course, that didn't happen, right? On Tuesday, Walz shared that he is talking to legislatures about calling a special session to address gun violence now. Now, right? Yeah, I mean, this could have been done before the shootings, right? The things that make, this is a quote, he said, quote, the things that make America unique in terms of shootings is we just have more guns and the wrong kinds of guns that are on the streets. Yeah, I don't think that's the problem, Tim. The fact that the DOJ is considering blocking trans-identifying individuals from owning guns suggests that the Department of Justice views the situation very differently. And a review by the Daily Wire found that the Annunciation School shooting and the Covenant Christian School shooting are just two examples of a steady stream of transgender-related violence over the past decades. Democrats, there's a quote here, Democrats have called for common sense gun laws for a long time. This is what the DOJ source said on Thursday, and said, this seems pretty common sense to me. I mean, this is something that the liberal Democrats should be all over, right? They should be rejoicing, jumping up and down, and throwing parties, right? This is gun control for them, right? Common sense gun laws. Well, the move would undoubtedly infuriate those on the left, though, who believe that men can become women and women can become men, and that people who identify as transgender are not mentally ill, but merely living in the wrong body. I love that one. These critics argue that transgender identification is irrelevant when discussing school shootings, and that even discussing the topic puts trans-identifying people in danger and should be off limits. Yeah, we should be shutting down free speech. That's always good. In recent years, doctors and therapists, activists, and even President Joe Biden administration have argued that people experiencing gender dysphoria will benefit from so-called gender-affirming care. Of course, we did a whole week, basically, of podcasts this last week on that, and how that's just not true. And Democrats like Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey have criticized, quote, hate being directed at our trans community in the wake of last week's shooting, claiming that anybody who is using this as an opportunity to villainize our trans community or any other community out there has lost their sense of common humanity. Yeah, there's nothing of, hey, guess what? There was some Christians that got shot on purpose because they were Christians. No, we can't be doing that, right? So anyway, that's ridiculous, and we'll keep our eye on that. We'll see what happens. I would love to hear what you think on that one as you write in, because again, I mean, there are going to be some that say, hey, banning guns is always a bad thing, but I don't think so. I mean, I think we already ban guns from people with mental illnesses, and gender dysphoria is a mental illness. So anyway, that would be a good conversation to have there. But want to bring you some news from the celebrity front, and again, I'm not fashion guy either, but legendary fashion designer Armani has died at the age of 91. Giorgio Armani died, and quote, with infinite sorrow, the Armani Group announces the passing of its creator, founder, and tireless driving force, Giorgio Armani, the company said in a statement. Quote, in this company, we have always felt like part of a family. Today, with deep emotion, we feel the void left by the one who founded and nurtured this family with vision, passion, and dedication. But it is precisely in his spirit that we, the employees, and the family members who have always worked alongside Mr. Armani, commit to protecting what he built and to carry his company forward in his memory with respect, responsibility, and love. So that, a nice little tribute there. Armani has missed a number of things here recently, shows and things like that. So you could kind of see this one coming, I guess. Born in 1934 in Italy, Armani launched his fashion career by addressing window displays before shifting into menswear design in the 1960s. Quote, I got into fashion almost by accident, and then it slowly grew in me until it completely absorbed me, stealing my life away, he said. By 1975, Armani launched his own label, taking the stiffness out of the traditional tailoring in favor of more fluid styles that became staples of power dressing in the 1980s. You remember the power suit, right? Well, Hollywood celebrities helped make the brand a cultural sensation. Richard Gere in American Gigolo being just one famous example there. The Armani brand turned into a global empire with everything from suits to fragrances, to all kinds of garments. It's still a major player in the fashion industry today, I guess. The company earned $2.7 billion in profits last year, which represents a 5% decrease, though, from the previous year. Hollywood embraced Armani, and now they are mourning him too, I guess. Julie Roberts shared a photo of herself posing with the late designer and added the caption, "A true friend, a legend," alongside the broken heart emoji. Producer Aaron Milton sent this is a quote, "Sent me to Armani store with a credit card to get a suit for the premiere." This is what Russell Crowe said. And he said that that began a love affair with Armani suits that continues to this day. Some more quotes here. Mr. Armani has made a deep contribution to fashion, to design, to popular culture. His energy, vision, and finesse has made a mark, acknowledgement around the globe. That's what the Gladiator star added, and he said, "I adored him." Spice Girls alum Victoria Beckham said on Instagram that the fashion world has lost a true legend in Armani, and so yeah, there's a lot of grieving, it seems, over this one, and we'll see how that affects the fashion industry, if at all. All right, so I wanted to conclude today with kind of. I normally like to bring you something a little more lighter, kind of on the funny side, and this is kind of on the funny side. So maybe not the more usual, but you know Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett, right? She's the Democrat from Texas, and she's not. How do we put this? She's not the brightest bulb in the whole box. Okay, in fact, if you ranked some of the dumbest Congress people in Washington D.C., I would say she was definitely in top 5, if not top 3. And she's just doesn't, hey, God makes us all different, and she just doesn't have a lot upstairs. Well, Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett, she's being mocked today for her switch in speech. And I want to play you a couple clips here because so oftentimes what we see from liberals in particular, and from politicians in particular as well, is they love to put on the mask. They love to be what people want them to be. And they don't want to show you who they really are. And here's just kind of a snippet that kind of brings that to light. So here's the first one. Here's the first clip, and it is from a TV interview that happened just before she got to Congress. All right, so that sounds normal, does it not? That, I mean, there's a little bit of an accent there, and she's from Texas, right? But here she was just the other day on stage talking about Christians.
Maybe because these people, they are crazy, because they always talk about how Christian they is. Yeah, I don't know how many of them on that side are getting divorced because they getting caught up sleeping with their co-workers, staffers, interns, all the things. Yeah, you ain't got to believe me. Just go Google. You'll find some of it. I'm telling you. And the wives is being messy and petty. They putting it in the divorce. I'm like, ooh, that's got to be true because your lawyer would know that they're going to lose it if they.
All right. So, believe it or not, that is the exact same woman. And, and you think now that she's been in Congress that has changed the way that she speaks that much? I don't know. I'm just going to leave that right there. And I'm going to allow you to comment on it. I would love for you to comment on it. In fact, you can always go to uncommonsensepodcast.com. You can leave your comments there. Of course, I would love to have you go to our YouTube channel and like and share there. That always helps us. And thank you for listening. This podcast is a production of Morganite Communications.